Hi, I'm Max.
And I'm Skylar.
Recently, we decided to start watching Bob's Burgers to see what it was all about.
And it didn't take us long to become completely obsessed with the show.
But one of the things we love the most about the show is the brilliant end credit sequences.
Which is why we created this podcast.
Each week, we're going episode by episode to talk about the elaborate end credits.
We're excited to have you join us right here on Bob's Credits.
We'll make sure that Bob's Burgers end credits get the credit they're due.
All right!
Chip chipperoo, my little Lonnie Andersons. The other one.
I love a Linda quote straight off the bat. That is how you start a podcast.
Yeah, we should start them all with Linda quotes.
And don't worry, if you don't know who that is,
Linda?
which Lonnie, what's her name?
Anderson.
Lonnie Anderson, like I didn't know. I'll make Max explain it later in this podcast.
You know who knows who Lonnie Anderson is?
Linda.
But also Gene, I promise you.
Oh, of course
And
he does.
Knows that she was married to Burt Reynolds, I believe married to.
Of course Gene would know that. Also, someone slid into our DMs last week and told me, we talked a lot about baby Jessica last week, the baby that fell down the well in Texas. Gene has mentioned baby Jessica twice in this show. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
The Tablescape episode.
Oh.
He wanted to do a baby Jessica themed Tablescape.
Oh, that's great.
The fact that he's mentioned it twice has my heart.
Yeah, it's really he's concerned about it, or he's really invested in that story. I don't know.
Do they have like very dated tabloids, like People magazines from
Maybe like the TV just gets like old like docuseries.
They didn't have docuseries on stuff like this. Like maybe Dateline.
What's the like there was that one like cable network show. I can't think of it right now.
What would your baby Jessica tablescape look like?
Will there be a well of some sort built out of something, maybe sugar cubes?
A chocolate well?
Oh, okay. Or chocolate cube well? Or
Well, it's made of sugar cubes, but there's chocolate inside
okay,
the well.
Got it. Baby Jessica would probably be made of some sort of pea?
Pea?
Like peas. Like, I'm trying to think of how you make baby Jessica the right size. Like, her head would be a pea.
Why don't we put baby Jessica in the cake? It's like a king cake, and whoever finds baby Jessica
Okay.
wins
That's great.
wins the dinner.
That's great. Okay. So
It
we
can
have
be
an
made
actual-
of peas.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't know if food is actually a part of the tablescaping. I don't think it is. So I don't know if that works.
Oh, I see.
But
I see. But it could be listed on the menu.
But I would do it like if I built the well and I was like, this is baby Jessica, and people are like, what? Who? I was like, oh, this is the ring. It's the
You
well
could
from the
just-
ring. Yeah.
yeah.
I
I love it. It's adaptable.
yeah.
I love it. Any business before we get into today's episode?
There's no business other than I'm going to tell everyone to check out Patreon.
Oh yeah, what did we publish most recently?
We published
A mailbag.
A mailbag episode that was so much fun. No, it's so much fun. We answer all sorts of questions across the board from like Bob's Burgers stuff, both like in-world and then like kind of non-canon stuff, and then we answer questions about us and Biscuit, most importantly, because everyone wants to know more about Biscuit.
It's true.
Patreon is a great place to get more on Biscuit. Patreon.com/Bob's Credits. But other than that, I really don't have any business here.
I don't have Patreon, two extra episodes a month for $5. What do we want to do first today?
Do you want to do Bob Pun or Max Pun?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We are doing the OG burger puns this week.
Ooh, a classic.
Are you ready for your first pun, Skylar?
I am. Before we do that, I do want to say thank you to everyone who joined our Instagram Live where we played this game with y'all.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm curious if people found it harder or easier than they thought, although I assume they play along with it here. So, silly question.
I think it's always difficult because I'm great at channeling Bob Belcher.
You're a genius.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Bob is. I don't think Bob's a genius in this episode, and I'm going to say that Just a spoiler.
I loved Bob in this episode.
I love Bob, but I don't think he's a genius, and I've got some beef with Bob.
Whoa.
Not burger beef.
I think Bob is perfect in this episode, so
okay.
I'm super interested.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. Your first pun, Skylar, is Mama Chia. Comes with chia seeds.
Max.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah. Bob would never use chia seeds in it.
It is Bob.
What?
I'm just kidding. It's Max.
You made me scream into the mic.
Your next pun is the Timothy Shallow Mayonnaise Burger.
Max.
Bob.
Whoa.
No, that's Max. That's Max. That's Max.
You're kind of nervous, huh?
I'm a little nervous. Your next pun is Gilligan's Thousand Island Burger.
Max.
Yes. Are you nervous now?
No.
And your final pun is Carrot Bueller's Day Off Burger.
Max.
Bob. No. Oh, you're so close. So close.
I don't care. That was a good showing.
It was. I thought you were going to go 4 for 4 there.
Wow. That was beautiful.
Good work.
Thank you.
I wonder how everyone
else did. Good work for you, too. Those were some great burger puns.
Thank you.
It is starting to get summery feeling around here, and it makes me want to like grill and have burgers. Are you feeling summer vibes yet?
I want a nap.
Okay.
I just like the warmer air makes me like...
Oh, a little slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel ya.
But yeah, I'll take a burger and then nap.
That's literally the perfect order.
Mm-hmm.
Max Miller, are you ready for Skylar Sides, the fun facts before the fun facts?
Dish it, girl.
I have a Skylar Sides that, 1, will apply to this week's episode, but 2, we have been questioning and wondering about this topic on this podcast for so many years at this point. That question being, what's the deal with the side characters on Bob's Burgers and their voice actors? Does the Bob's Burgers team have to write up new contracts and cast side characters? If they, let's say Brian Husky, who we will be talking about, voices an extra character within the show, is he paid for that extra character? We've always wondered, because if you really start to look at the casting of Bob's Burgers, the little side characters will be like, oh, Larry Murphy did this one. Oh, John Roberts did this one. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Has that become obvious to you?
Yeah.
And we finally know the answer. The voice actors are not paid by character or by contract, but for the allotted studio time. So they'll be paid for a session. And if it's like the session's still going, it's like, hey, we have this extra character. Could you do this? It's within the session and you do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That seemed okay. That's great. It feels like a fun way to just do some extra characters. Why not?
I know.
It seems like such a great job if you can get paid to do it. It really does.
I know. You really have a thing about voice acting. It's like the ship that passed you in the night.
Yeah.
Would you want to be a voice actor?
If anyone's listening and wants me, I think it's incredibly complicated. I don't want to like minimize it. But
no, of course not.
If anyone is listening, is like, man, I'd like Max to voice something for me, and I'd pay him. I'm your guy. Come get me. I'll give it a shot. It
is funny. I think on our Instagram Live, someone was like, this dude sounds like Tina Belcher.
Yeah, didn't they say it said like Bob and then Tina?
Yeah.
I was like, it's the monotone voice. Okay,
yeah.
Well, give me a character and I will monotone voice them, please.
I don't find you to have a monotone voice, by the way.
Yeah, but you probably hear all sorts of things that other people... I didn't mean that to sound like sexual. I don't know why that would like...
It didn't until you said that.
You probably hear all sorts of like different like inflections in my voice.
I do.
I don't want to keep going on stories before we get into this episode, but I do have to tell everyone, I've been meaning to tell them about my dream that I had. And everyone, I know you're rolling your eyes, and we don't like hearing about other people's dreams, but this one is Bob's Burgers related.
It was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it's so funny because like Skylar will wake up from a dream and be like, I dreamt that Biscuit was drowning.
Yeah.
And you jumped in to save him, and then you were drowning too, and then you both drowned and left me all alone on this earth.
Yeah.
That's Skylar's dream. I wake up and tell Skylar my dream, and it's more like this. So I was in a movie theater. I can't remember what the rest of the dream was, but I was pretending to be Harold, as in Harold from Bob's Burgers, the
Linda's
old man.
father.
No, the Edith's husband.
Edith's husband, yes.
Harold, at the movie theater.
Such a random character.
So random.
We don't even see him that often.
And Edith came in and was angry at me as Harold.
Which she would be.
Yeah, she spilled spaghetti on my head because she got so angry at me.
What?
Yeah, and then she walked out of the movie theater.
What did
then,
you do?
Well, I wasn't actually Harold. I was just pretending to be Harold. So I revealed myself to the two people behind me, who happened to be Margot Robbie and Seth Rogen were sitting behind me. And I went, acting, because I convinced this woman that I was Harold, her husband, this fictional cartoon character.
Not this woman. You convinced Edith from Bob's Burgers that you were her cartoon husband.
Yeah.
And you turned around and you said,
acting.
Give me the Oscar.
Yes. You two who happen to be sitting together, who have been to the Oscars, who have been nominated. Well, I don't think Seth Rogen has been nominated, but maybe
he hasn't.
Maybe movies he's been in have been nominated in some form.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my dream.
Great dream.
If you need a segue to get in this episode, I did not have a creative block in my dream. That was very creative, that dream.
I'm very excited to talk about this episode.
All right, Skylar. Well, let's do it. Can we have the title and synopsis for season 10, episode 15, please?
I can't read that.
Before I was even done.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
The title is?
Wait, you should finish your sentence that I interrupted you.
They get it by now. The title is Yurty Rotten Scoundrels.
Linda and Tina attend Gayle's Art Your Engines workshop, but soon learn a very negative writer is attending only to write a hit piece on Gayle's new business. Meanwhile, Louise has her eye on a reward for a lost cat and recruits Jean, Andy and Ollie, and regular-sized Rudy to help him out. Bob is not so thrilled.
This episode came out on March 8th, 2020. It was written by Katie Crown and directed by Tom Riggin. Real quick, Katie Crown, who we've mentioned numerous times, started as a staff writer. I think she's like co-executive producer of the show now.
Wow.
And the movie and everything. Was the original voice of Harley before Ashley Nicole Black took over.
Aww, love.
And Tom Riggin, we know Tom Riggin, and we think he's Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights.
I was just about to make a stupid...
We make it every single time.
We do?
Yeah.
Do you think people listening are like, ugh, those millennials, get over Friday Night Lights? It's over, y'all.
No, I think anyone who understands Friday Night Lights understands it.
Just the opening credits, just thinking about the music and the opening credits, I get chills.
Oh my God. And what's the actor who plays Tammy Taylor, Coach Taylor's wife?
Connie Britton?
Dancing to the music, you know?
Amy Schumer's parody of that in her Chardonnay glass is like ginormous, and it is so good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about this episode, Skylar.
This is another Bob's Burgers hits it out of the park. My mood was instantly lifted throughout this. I loved both storylines. Aunt Gayle was a source of great comedy for me. I wasn't sitting, it's been so long since we've seen her. I wasn't sitting there being like, I cannot tolerate this woman. I was just like, she is so wacky, and I'm very entertained right now.
You know what's funny is you asked like earlier for our Patreon, like what we've recorded recently. I know we've mentioned this before, but we did like a deep dive into Gayle and Linda's relationship.
We did.
And this is that's a great episode to listen to because it's on full display here.
This complex relationship.
Yeah, Linda's dropping anything and everything to care for her sister, her fully grown sister who should be, doing her own thing.
Remind us a little bit of the scene. Like, set us up. What has Linda done for this project of Gayle's?
Linda needed to be working at the restaurant.
Yep.
And she dropped it to go. She didn't need to. Gayle didn't ask her to. Gayle was having her own little event.
Yep.
And Linda says, I've got to drop everything and go attend this event because who else is going to attend it? I need to be there.
Yeah. And Bob is like, it's so busy. It's a weekend, Linda. But also, the thing that really gets me is she invested money into renting this yurt. She put cold hard cash into this project for Gayle. Wow.
It's too much. Real quick, I want to talk about what bothered me about Bob in this episode.
Oh.
And it's not about Bob. It's about the family as a whole. We
Oh.
talk so often about how wonderful this family is.
Okay.
These poor kids, it's a Saturday.
Yeah.
They've been at school all week.
Yeah.
And Louise wants to go off on an adventure. Understandably so. It's a Saturday. She's a child. And they make the kids work. Because Linda has to drop everything to go take care of Gayle, which she doesn't have to do.
Yeah. I think this is so complex. And it's really interesting on TikTok where feelings run high on TikTok, y'all. Childhood trauma is just spouting out of every orifice there. But there are some people who are deeply, deeply, deeply disturbed that the children in this fictional animated show are forced to work. And, you know, of course, when I was in college and I had jobs and things like that, but I was never forced to work at a family store or anything like that when I was a kid, so I can't really say, but there are some people who are really upset by it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense when you really think about it.
Let's backtrack this, though.
And I also want to know, can I hang on one more thing here?
Please.
At a certain point, Bob says, I miss Tina, because Gene and Louise are not being helpful. They're being children.
Good for them.
And it's a funny line. But then I feel bad for Tina, because Tina is at this age where she also wants to enjoy her weekends, but she also wants to make sure everyone is happy and her parents are happy and that she's helpful and stuff. So.
She's definitely a little parentified.
Yeah.
You know, she stays within the boundaries. She's the responsible one.
But they won't let her babysit.
But they won't let her babysit. I have lots of thoughts here. Here's the thing.
Maybe we should do a full-on, deep dive on Patreon about this scenario.
We should. Actually, we should do, a high school-style debate team. And, we have to flip a coin, and one person has to take...
Pro and con?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that'd be fun.
I love that. So, which is interesting because our whole discussion on Patreon was about how Linda herself was parentified as a child because her sister was always up to wacky things and Linda felt the need to protect her. So, Gayle just took up a lot of space in their family. Anyway, back to this, should the kids be working or not? I want first you to look at it from Bob's perspective.
I always do.
You always do. So is Linda at fault here? You tell me, do you think it is possible to run a restaurant, to cook, serve, cash people out, seat people all by yourself on a Saturday?
No.
What is Linda doing?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I know that's what you're saying. I think he had to ask the kids to help. And I also think it's a generational thing. I think it was very common for you help out the family.
Yeah, well, we saw Bob working at his father's restaurant.
Yeah, and that went real well.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they getting paid? That's the line.
That's a good question.
And
I don't think
should
so.
kids help out?
They don't make much money. I don't know how much they could be trickling down to the children.
I don't know.
It's it's a bigger debate. We'll get into it over on Patreon if you want to hear it at some point. Maybe we'll record that this week. Let's talk about the episode though. This is an animated program. We talk about them on a weekly basis as if they're real people and it's real life and they're our friends and we love them so much. But
sometimes we take it too far.
Sometimes it can be a little too serious.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I think I just have to say one more thing. I think I get both sides, and I will say I also think there's something really sweet about helping out at your parents' restaurant.
I agree. I think helping out is one thing.
It is.
Working a full shift and doing
every
the stuff
weekend.
that your mom was probably supposed to be doing, and she dropped everything to go cater to her adult sister.
All the woman's fault.
Definitely all the woman's fault, always.
No, just kidding. Linda's at fault here.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I talk about the first 30 seconds of this episode?
Yeah, please.
Because it's something we started talking about last episode, how the beginning of the episode was just all cylinders firing. I think this is another example. So in the first, I want to say 15 seconds, they're playing nail spa with Jean, Tina, and Louise. I found it nostalgic, delightful, hilarious.
Because they're forced to stay at home and stay and work at the restaurant, so they've got to entertain themselves.
They're not on their phones.
That's true.
What are other children doing that is so much better than them?
No, I was just kidding. I mean, I love nail spa, and I want to play it with you.
Yeah. Okay. Then we get this guy bursting in saying he's lost his cat.
Voiced by Brian Husky.
Voiced by Brian Husky, which is how it connects to Skylar Sides this week. Most likely, he was already recording for regular size Rudy, because he enters this episode pretty soon. And this guy has one scene. They're not going to go hold a casting call for this one person. So he comes in and says he's lost his cat. Linda delivers this hysterical line about, well, maybe the cat ran off with the dog and their love was forbidden, and that's why the cat is lost. Classic Bob's Burgers. Hilarious. I was in stitches. And then you're like, okay, the episode is going. We're all ready to go with the plot. And then bam, in walks kooky Aunt Gayle.
Here, it's what I to call her is here to derail Gayle.
Here to derail Gayle. That is too good, and that's what we're going to call her walking around the apartment now.
Yeah, and she's got this art event that she's created, and she has one person signed up.
She sure does.
You will have to wonder who that person is.
I'm sorry, I'm real butthurt about this. I'm getting too serious like those TikTok folks. Bob and Linda struggle with money. And listen, we struggle with money. It's a rough world out there, y'all.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, as parents, it's your job to like make sure you're managing your money as well as you can for the security of your children. And they talk about how they struggle. They can barely pay the rent on the restaurant sometimes. And she rented a yurt for Gayle. I would flip out if I were Bob. I would flip out.
Yeah, I think Bob does a good job of not flipping out when he's earned a little flip out or two.
Yeah.
With the scenario.
But that's like the balance. If he did flip out, as an audience, you're like, ugh.
No, I like when Bob just goes into his high voice in the background and you just hear when they're talking.
Yeah, exactly. So the writers do a really good job of balancing out that situation.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about this yurt event.
So Gayle has read this book and decided she knows exactly everything about art. And I think this book is a reference to The Artist's Way. I don't know if you guys get annoyed, like, as a writer, everybody's like, oh, The Artist's Way and morning pages. I'm like, you like don't have to do that to be a writer. Like, yeah. I'm sure it's great. So it feels like they were poking fun at The Artist's Way. So Aunt Gayle is in full kookiness. She asks Linda and Tina and this woman.
This woman is, yes, Anne Cragston. Something along those. Annie. She's voiced by Beth Dover, who also we last heard her as Caitlin, who was Sasha's aunt in House of a Thousand Bounces. So she was like the aunt at the birthday party.
Okay.
But she's probably best known. She was in Orange is the New Black. So maybe you
I love
would
that
recognize her as Linda Ferguson, the senior VP of like the corrections corporation.
Excuse me, I need to put a face to the name. What's her name?
Beth Dover.
Beth Dover.
Apparently she was in many seasons and kind of like started as like a smaller antagonist to like a...
I think she has dark hair.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. I had no idea the connection. That is so fun. She's a great antagonist in that show. So Gayle is unhinged. She wants them to take their clothes off, first and foremost. We are painting with spit. She pulls out a knife, wants them to paint with blood. But which will come full circle, she's owning it. When she bursts out of that yurt and tells the story of how the bear ate her hands, and that's how she became an artist, she is committing to the bit, and I commend her for that.
She does. She does give 110% to this.
Yeah.
As crazy as it is.
Yep.
I love the sequence where she's the creative block and Tina's the only one out in the woods, and Tina is the perfect victim, which we'll get into more in the end credits because that's the whole end credits sequence pretty much. But it's so funny.
There was someone around Halloween who tagged a photo or sent us a photo of their daughter, and they were Gayle as a creative block for Halloween. And that is peak Bob's Burgers costuming.
I use the I am a creative block for memes on a regular basis. That
you
quote.
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for this episode because, as everyone who follows us on Instagram knows, we post a carousel with like images from this episode, and we always kick it off with a meme. I already know what I'm going to meme because I know that I'm a creative block line from this episode.
I love it.
I'm ready to go. It makes my job so much easier.
So tell me, do you find Gayle really entertaining here? And how do you feel about Linda when they're in the yurt at the workshop?
I am someone who is not like annoyed by Gayle on a regular, like I love Here to Derail Gayle. Like they use her just enough to...
Yes.
Because if Gayle's in an episode, she's going to suck all the energy out of scenes she's in. That's what she does.
She's great at it.
That's what the character is.
Yeah.
So I'm on board when she's in an episode. So I'm
You're
like,
ready.
Yeah. I'm like, so okay, let Gayle do what she does. Go crazy, you know? And Linda has to turn it up to kind of like match Gayle's energy, and she goes a little nuts herself, you know, trying to match it. Or control it even.
I think this is really smart writing. And we've discussed it on this podcast, there are certain circumstances when Linda is very annoying. In the later seasons, she tries to get an author to like write a second book. She's very annoying and hard to tolerate. This is not one of them. The writers have done a really good job in making Linda very likable. Even though she's doing the wrong thing, even though she shouldn't have put money into this, she needed to let Gayle do this on her own. When you find out that Annie is there to assassinate Gayle's reputation, I respond really well to Linda being like, this isn't right, and I'm not going to let my sister go through this. I found it very endearing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I find the whole scenario and the dynamics, particularly with Tina being not a niece in the situation, very funny.
Yeah, I think it's a great story.
Yeah.
Altogether. And I love how it all wraps up too.
Remind us.
Just that like Annie actually wants to be, she doesn't like being someone who just goes and like rips into people, and she has found something actually special through this.
Because she is right. Gayle is uninhibited, and there's a certain part of that you need to be an artist, or to be free as a human, and that is accepting yourself for who you are. And I do think like there's a lot of accounts I follow online that's just about tearing people down, and it's like, yeah, but have you put yourself out there?
Yeah.
Because it's actually a lot harder to do that than tear people down.
You're right. I always say it's easier to be mean than to be nice.
Oh, yeah.
Like I feel like it's almost.
Do you
like,
always say that?
I always say it. I'm always saying it. I'm always walking around
I've
saying
never
it.
heard you say
I'm
that.
always saying it to,
I do like that though.
I just think it takes a little more effort to like, there's so much to be negative about,
It's easy.
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I'm going to go one step further and say you're a lot more vulnerable being nice than being mean.
There you go. That's what I always say. And that's what she always
Can you guys
says. That's what I always say. Okay. So anything else you want to say about this main story before we just kind of like jump over to
the
the
B
kids?
story?
The kids,
I
yeah.
love the B story so much.
The Wagstaff gang coming over.
Such a good group of people. The only thing I want to say is there are two twists in this episode. One is that Annie, as you said, is actually there for the right reasons. And then the other twist is in the B story, they find the cat, but it's actually not the right cat. I found the writing very satisfying because I didn't see either of those twists coming.
Yeah.
So, liked how that the twists paralleled each other, mirrored each other in this episode. Take us to the beginning of the B story.
Well, I love Louise calling in the troops, and when I mean the troops, it's regular size Rudy and Andy and Ollie, two kids who clearly don't have to work on a Saturday, who are available to come, and two kids. Yeah, it's two technically, three kids. Say what you will about Jimmy Pesto, he's not making Andy and Ollie work in the restaurant across the street on a Saturday.
Yep,
I mean, he's probably doesn't care what they're getting into because he's not a great father. But
they could be pulling a baby Jessica, and he would not know it.
If Andy fell down the well, I don't think Ollie would try and save him. He'd jump down to be with him.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yes.
So they would be baby Jessicas. Yeah, I love that this is who Louise calls in to.
She can manipulate them.
Yes, and also they're probably not the most. She can manipulate them. One, because Rudy is the nicest and will do anything for his friend Louise.
Ugh, I love regular size Rudy.
And Andy and Ollie are fairly moldable.
Yeah, and they're around.
Yeah. She probably could have called in some more independent, maybe, thinkers, but that's not what she wanted.
I didn't know it was that deep, but I think you're onto something.
Yeah, I feel like she could have like reached out to maybe some of the older kids, maybe.
Yeah, this group of kids is just going to do what she asks and not ask questions.
She could reach out to Millie, might be able to devise some scheme out there, but she doesn't want to deal with that.
Millie's going to want 50-50 cut.
Yeah, or like
a play date.
Yeah, where we got to spend the rest of our lives together if I do this for you.
Where regular size Rudy, he's like, what if we just take the reward for ourselves? And she goes, you don't have a pencil to write the phone number down with or whatever it is.
Yeah, and he's like, that's right. You're right.
You're right.
See, she knows what she's doing.
What I love about this is normally I feel like we would see Louise sneaking out and trying to find the cat herself, but I think it's so delightful that she gets her coochie copy walkie-talkies, and she has devised a plan where she can look like she's in the restaurant while her little minions are doing her work, and perfection.
Also, those toy walkie-talkies, the range, no way they're going like around the neighborhood. So it's a good thing that they found the cat in the alley, because probably the furthest it could possibly reach, those walkie-talkies.
I have a question for you.
As a child who played with toy walkie-talkies growing up.
This leads right into my question.
Yeah.
Is there anything better than playing with walkie-talkies as a child?
It's pretty great. I don't know if it's the same now that kids have phones and stuff. I don't know if that's like changed, but when we didn't have phones and this was how we communicated from afar.
It was so fun. I think one of my introductions to walkie-talkies and the delight of them was from Now and Then. And I think they would walkie-talkie each other like across the street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mine was big.
Yeah.
Different eras, but like,
it's just
big. Him and his friends talk across. They live in like houses right across, or apartments right across from each other.
It's this like best friendship. It's like best friend neighbors, the sun going down at 8 p.m. on a summer night kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I love it.
So would we like Bob's Burgers episode set in the pre-cell phone era? Yes.
Yes. Although the kids don't, but it is. They're so smart. The kids don't have cell
Right.
phones. Tina has to text Jimmy Jr. on the shared family
Yeah.
phone. And that's really smart. Max read this great interview with, was it Jonah Hill?
No, it was my my dream buddy, Seth Rogen.
With Seth Rogen. Tell us.
Well, he mentioned that cell phones ruin pretty much all like screenwriting, all storytelling, because it's an easy solution to so many things. Like, I mean, when you think about something like Home Alone, or, you know,
I can just call the police.
yeah, cell
Yeah.
phones just ruin everything. So, like, it was so much easier to tell a story before they existed. So you have to find ways to kind of not, like you just said, Bob's Burgers, the kids don't have cell phones. The family doesn't really have a cell phone. They have one cell phone because they can't afford to have multiple cell phones.
Yeah.
So it makes the storytelling a little bit easier. Seth Rogen was talking about in Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
When they go on the run from the cops and stuff like that, they have cell phones that can easily like resolve a lot of the issues they're having. They had to think of a way to like eliminate the cell phone, and so they decided to have these two like idiots think that their cell phones are being triangulated by the cops. So they smash their cell phones early in the
They do it to themselves.
in the movie. Yes, yeah.
That's so
they
funny.
don't have cell phones like contact each other.
It's actually a really fun game being like, and the cell phones are out of the narrative because screenwriters have to get smarter with
you think
how they are disappeared.
You think about it in every horror movie, it's become a trope where like, oh, I don't have service.
Yeah.
Because if you have service, all of a sudden you have so many options to contact help, to blah, blah, blah. That's why it's become such a trope.
Yep. Oh, I actually have one in the novel I'm writing. We have a big plot twist, but they enter a forest and she could just call the police if she had her phone.
Yeah, no, you got to get rid of those phones.
Yep. Really fun to watch out for in movies. Okay. Why I love Bob. There is a thing that they do with Louise, which is she can outsmart her parents. This is not one of those days. Bob knows exactly what those children are doing from the get-go, from the moment her friends come over. And it is so funny to me because the kids are like trying to be sneaky, but Bob's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it is always like, because Louise does get things over on her parents pretty regularly. It is fun when they're like so on to their kids and they know exactly what they're doing.
These kids are the kids that once snuck out on Christmas Eve to go to a warehouse rave. Different level here.
Yeah. No wonder they want them to stay with them. Okay, now I'm all for child labor. Keep those kids close.
I also have to say, it's not like Bob is cracking the whip. Like, Jean is shimmying, doing some dance moves. They are being kids within the confines of the restaurant. I love when they walk back after catching the cat and like can you imagine trying to run a full restaurant and 5 children walk into your restaurant, 3 of whom are not your own kids, and they are covered in scratches. I would just be like, what is my life?
Yeah, since we're not parents, I don't know what it's like to be in a scenario where someone else's kid is like injured, or like you have to send them home, kind of like, yeah, they were kind of under my supervision and this happened to them. Sorry.
I feel like it's a different era parenting now. You know, most kids don't do sleepovers anymore.
Really?
Yeah, because parents are worried that they can't trust adults because of scary things.
Oh.
I have a
I used to
question.
get scared sleeping over people's places anyway.
I was so scared. We've talked about this so many times.
To be in someone else's house.
It's really scary. It feels like a rite of passage for sure. I do love the Gene episode where he has to sleep over at Alex's house. I have a question for you. Off topic, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Is it ever okay to discipline someone else's child?
I mean, again, I'm not a parent, and I'm not. Oh, I guess I don't have to be a parent. I could.
Yeah, you can have your own moral stance.
I mean, I guess it depends what discipline means.
Do you remember the TV show called The Slap?
Yeah,
that was the whole question of the show.
Right. But he slapped the kid, right?
He slapped someone's child.
That's different. That's very, very different than being like, don't do this.
One of my friend's dads pulled me aside and yelled at me when I was a kid.
Oh,
and
I got yelled at by my friend's dad too, and
I'm still traumatized
me
by
too.
it.
To this day, it still terrifies me.
What happened in your situation?
In fact, it scared me for the rest of my life from that person. I just remember getting really yelled at for being a kid, honestly. Like, it wasn't like we were doing kids things, and yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
I think we were putting on like a puppet show. Like we were creating a puppet show, and we hung a sign on the front door with tape, Scotch tape, too much Scotch tape. And he snapped at us.
Max.
Yeah. It had to be traumatic because I remember it so.
Yeah.
So
you don't remember that. Yeah.
No, yeah, it was very scary.
I was a little bit more in the wrong in mine, but I'm still going to say I was a child. I was like 9 or 10, and this dad made these elaborate scavenger hunts for us, and we'd go through the mall and this whole thing. And I think the idea was that we were real undercover Charlie's Angel spies.
Yeah.
And toward the end of the day, I was like, oh, like, it's just pretend. Something I made a comment about how this actually isn't reality. And he pulled me aside and laid into me like that I was ruining the birthday party.
Are you serious?
Laid into me.
Oh my God.
And I just remember the next day, like, we went swimming, just my mom and I just remember still just being petrified.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Anyway, so Bob being like, why are you all have scratches on you is the level of intensity I need.
Yeah, good work. I feel like we should get into these end credits.
Let's
unless
do
you
it.
have something else you want to talk about the episode.
No.
I do. I just want to really quick point out, because I forgot to mention, that Yurty Rotten Scoundrels is a play on the 1988 movie Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which is a funny movie starring Michael Caine and Steve Martin. But it's not just a play on the title, because they're like con men who are trying to like con a wealthy woman out of money.
Okay.
So they're pretending to be people that they aren't, kind of the way that Tina and Linda are pretending to be two people that they aren't.
Oh,
So
I love that.
It works in more
works.
than one way. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
Let me just look at my notes. I do have that we promised to tell people who Lonnie Anderson is.
Okay. Do you have that pulled up?
No, you're 40.
She's before my time, believe it or not. This is like, I know she was.
But you knew who she was and I didn't.
I just know who she was in relation to that she like dated Burt Reynolds. I don't know like what kind of acting she did. Let me Google it real quick. An American actress. She played receptionist Jennifer Marlowe on the CBS sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati from 1978 to 1982, the year I was born, thank you very much. So I don't know who this woman is, other than that she was an actress. She was, in fact, married to Burt Reynolds and a number of other men. She was married to Burt Reynolds through 1988 to 1994.
Okay, and this is the code name that Linda has decided to use.
Yes, she's currently married to Bob Flick, who is in the American folk singing group The Brothers Four.
I think we've dove deep enough.
It's enough. Yeah, we got it.
The only other thing I wanted to say is Ollie and Andy's entrance is really good. One of them says, I was just in a rose garden and it's in full bloom. And then the other says that they've seen a dead squirrel, and they didn't feel anything. So now they're questioning everything. Like, it's peak writing. If you are going to have an entrance scene with these two, their lines have to be peak, and they were.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we're all at the restaurant. The family's all together again. And we'll see this last moment before the end credits.
Great.
You were right, Bob. I didn't need to mother my sister. Gail would have been completely fine without me. I should have stayed here. How'd it go today?
Really well. Maybe don't use the employee bathroom.
Okay. You know anything about fixing yurts.
Wait, what?
You never know when I'm gonna appear. Might be tomorrow, might be next year.
Tell me what happens when we get into these end credits.
We have left vertical end credits, and it's like block coloring. It's just silhouettes and then like a background color with like an almost paper cutout of objects.
Yeah, it's one of their, like, they really went all out with this fun animation for these end credits.
It feels very reminiscent of like Wonder Wharf,
Yeah.
the James Bond one.
Exactly. And the first shot is like kind of like a close-up of Tina drawing, and then the creative block appears and Gayle pops out of it, and we get Gayle singing the song, obviously.
Either way, expect a loud sound in your ear and the personification of what you most fear. The creative block.
I love the animation in this. It's so cool.
Does it remind you of The Incredibles at all?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's kind of got like that, like kind of like old like 60s style.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
And the music is too. It's kind of like spy music.
Exactly. That's why it reminded me of the Wonder Wharf end credits.
Yeah. We get Tina's drawing of her horse, and then
Tina at a desk, but
with
then
the creative block, Gayle as the creative block engulfs her.
swallows her. So this is a direct play on the creative block game that Gayle wanted to play at her retreat, which is they would go into the forest and she, the creative block, would come and get them.
Show up when you least expect it. Your artistic drive, you better protect it. Push through the noise, get right.
So we got Gayle holding the jar of spit
Oh, God.
that she then drops, and it kind of explodes, and Tina pops out of it. It's
Yeah.
really great. And then kind of like these two shots on top of each other of Gayle chasing Tina around as the creative block.
You know what this reminds me of? Which is wild because this was way before when Gayle drops that spit and Tina's kind of like at the bottom of the jar, like a mini version. It reminds me of the Severance opening credits.
Yeah. Yeah. The guy who did the Severance opening credits said that these end credits
Inspired him.
inspired him. Yeah.
You can do 'cause the creative block is coming for you. The creative block. The creative block.
Yeah. It's very spy music. It's got like a ding, 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 ding,
So
ding,
like
ding, ding, ding,
60s
James Bond.
spy,
Yeah,
James
yeah.
Bond, which they've done before,
Yeah.
and we love it. So then we kind of get a Brady Bunch Zoom window vibe. All these boxes with Tina's head in it and her glasses, and she's looking around. Is she safe from the creative block?
Yeah. And then Gayle too, as the Brady Bunch. It's Gayle and Tina.
Oh,
but
okay.
in each tile.
hmm
And then we get this great shot of Tina running on a crayon, like a flipping log in the water.
It's so good. Why? It reminds me a little bit of Mad Men too.
Yeah.
The opening.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
the era, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, Tina's running on the crayon, and then Gayle engulfs her again. Is
Yes.
that what happens?
Yeah.
Got it. The creative block won, I guess.
Yep. So the lyrics to Creative Block are, "You never know when I'm gonna appear. It might be tomorrow. It might be next year. Either way, expect a loud sound in your ear. I'm the personification of what you most fear.
It's true.
The Creative Block. I always show up when you least expect it. Your artistic drive. You better protect it. Push through the noise. That's all you can do, because the Creative Block is coming for you. The Creative Block."
I mean,
Great lyrics.
great lyrics. Truth. Just spitting truths.
Truth. We as two creatives can vouch for the Creative Block song.
Yes.
Do you want to score these?
Yeah.
What if you said no? And that's the whole point of this podcast. We scored a scale of 1 to 10 H's at the end of Tina's
I am going to give them an 8.5.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's so much goodness going on here. First of all, I do not expect this. I don't expect the color. I don't expect the style. I don't expect the song. It's so, I don't want to say the word unexpected because that's not a good sentence, but it is. It's so unexpected.
Yeah, the song's fun. I love those lyrics. I love Megan Mullally get to sing.
The animation is visually fascinating.
Yeah, when they do these kind of this style of end credits, it's always just so interesting what they do creatively with all the different colors and shapes and stuff, how they make it all work.
Yes, like shapes melding into other shapes, transforming. It's really cool. And it's a lot of times it feels like the writers are writing the jokes. But here it's really up to the animators to create narrative through shifting shapes.
Yeah. Well, those are the end credits to Yurty Rotten Scoundrels. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you'd like more of Skylar and I, as we mentioned, patreon.com/BobsCredits. Go sign up. We're there. We're having a blast. But you can also check out my favorite episode on YouTube, where we have special guests join us for
their favorite episode
of Bob's Burgers, and we talk about them, and it's a lot of fun over there. Anything else before we want to get out of here?
I'm just going to say stay saucy.
I'll see you all next time.